Hello, out there in COE membership land. My name is Dr. Kirk A. Nooks, and welcome to our first edition of the President's Podcast. Back at the beginning of the strategic plan, we mentioned that we wanted to be able to communicate in multiple ways with our membership. For those of you who have signed up for our newsletter, hopefully you've been receiving that on a quarterly basis to provide insight to certain policy changes, announcements, reminders, but also covering special events like the annual meeting, the Spring Accreditation Institute, and highlighting different members such as new commissioners and the like. We hope you've enjoyed the content, but we didn't want to stop there. We told you that we would come back with some type of video podcast, and that's why we're here today to kick this off. So I'm delighted to be here today with some very special people to me and to you. And we're going to be taking a look at the Spring Accreditation Institute in this episode. What is the Spring Accreditation Institute all about? Why do we provide it? Who's involved? And what do we have in store? There are two critically important people who make this possible on a day-to-day basis. One of them is Dr. Susan Wright, who's our Chief of Staff here at the Council, and the other is Toree Paden, who is our Director of Communication and Events. I'd like to welcome both of them at this time, and for them to just provide a 30-second overview about how long they've been with the Council and why they enjoy working at the Council.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Nooks. I have been with the Council a little over 2 years now, and I came from the community college setting. And working at the Council is important to me because it still allows me the opportunity to have a positive impact on the student experience.
As Dr. Nooks said, I'm the Director of Communication and Events, and I joined the Council last year in August. So I'm still fresh a little bit, reaching my 1 year very soon, and I enjoy what I do. I enjoy creating the content and putting out information for our membership.
Excellent. So, as a reminder, when you see those newsletters, Toree is leading the way to put those newsletters together, and the next one will be coming out really soon. It comes out at the top of every quarter. So, if you have not signed up for the newsletter, you can go to our website and you can submit your name, but automatically all chief administrators and liaisons are included on that distribution list. So with that, let's talk about the Spring Accreditation Institute. It's almost time, and this one in 2026 is going to be special. I'm not going to give away any secrets or anything like that, but we want to get with the both of you. We affectionately call them in the office QB1 and QB2 for these large-scale events. So with this first one, Susan, for those who may be new to COE events, we host two major conferences every year, the annual meeting and the Spring Accreditation Institute. The annual meeting, of course, takes place in November, and the Spring Accreditation Institute takes place late April, early May. This was the former summer conference. So when I came to COE almost 3 years ago, we had the summer conference, and we moved it based on feedback from some of the members. They said, well, Dr. Nooks, we're coming right at the tail end of the summer, and then we've got to come back in November. They're so close together. So we said, let's kind of spread them out a little bit. But what is the Spring Accreditation Institute, and why has it become such an important conference across COE membership? And tell me, how does it differ from the annual meeting?
So the Spring Accreditation Institute is a 2-day intensive training for our COE accredited and candidate institutions. And during the 2 days, it includes required workshops for those that are preparing for initial or reaffirmation visits. It has training for our team members and our team leaders who go out to support our site visits. So it's a very important conference. We take a deep dive into all of the 10 standards that are looked at when the evaluation teams go out to the institutions. So we take this time to prepare those institutions to get ready for those very, very important visits. The annual meeting is a larger meeting We usually host anywhere from 650 to 700 attendees. As you shared, it is hosted in the fall. And this is an opportunity to offer a broader scope of type of sessions. So you will find legislative updates, you will find proposals where and we invite institutions or we pick member institutions or those that have applied or offered proposals that provide our institutions with best practice of maybe best practices in the classroom, best practices in their business offices, best practices for preparing for site visits. So it's a larger, more broad scale conference versus our Spring Accreditation Institute, which is a little bit more intimate, where we usually have anywhere from 400 to 500 institutions, and we really take time to have a deep dive into all of the 10 standards, which prepares our institutions for their accreditation visits.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing is two distinct. I remember when I first came, people would say, "Well, Dr. Nooks, we have the same information at both, so I'll just choose one." But what I'm hearing you say, Susan, is the strategic sort of thought is to have two separate events. One, Spring Accreditation Institute, smaller, more intimate, definitely a deep dive into all 10 standards, wherein the annual meeting may not cover all 10 standards. It may have more best practices, more innovation. It's larger. It includes legislative, highlights and all of that good information. So two separate, events. Of course, one takes place in November, the annual meeting, and one takes place in the spring. So when you talk about the Spring Accreditation Institute, tell me, where is it going to be held this year? What are some of the nuances that we have to look forward to?
Yes, we're so excited that this year the Spring Accreditation Institute will be located in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're so excited because there are about 9 institutions that COE accredits that is housed in Utah. Our host hotel is the Salt Lake City Marriott downtown, City Creek. We want to emphasize the Creek part because there is another Marriott very close called City Center, and we want to make sure that our attendees are showing up to City Creek, Salt Lake City. And a unique thing about that hotel is they are connected to the City Creek Center Mall. So not only are our attendees coming to get their professional development, but they're able to have an experience some great dining, some good shopping, and we can't forget about the Salt Lake City views of those mountains. We're just excited to have it in Salt Lake City this year.
Okay, excellent. So one of the things we did at COE, we created the opportunity for early bird registration. Again, just responding to the membership, saying, "Hey, is there a reduced rate?" And we're happy to report that the early birds have gone so well that they, I think this spring they sold out in a little over a week.
Yes.
The early birds. So we want to remind you that the push to register for our conferences, not only now but going into the future, you do not want to delay. Because there's a difference between saying the registration will open and close, and the other version of it is if registration is completed, meaning there's no more space. We're actually at capacity, we believe, right now at the conference hotel, starting in the overflow hotel. So we're excited at the response, but we know that the content we're providing is somewhat relevant to all of the work going on at all of our outstanding institutions. So we're excited about that. So tell me a little bit about this. When you're talking about the 10 standards of accreditation, why is it so valuable for institutions to dedicate focused time to strengthening their understanding of these standards, and how do they apply them in practice?
We have 10 standards at COE, and they are the institutional aspects that the teams will look at when they go out for the team visits, or they are the 10 aspects of the COE accreditation process. So it's very important that institutions understand, first of all, what COE is all about and the 10 standards. Why do we do it? What do they mean? What does it look like on your campus when we talk about institution mission? What does it look like when we talk about educational programs? What does it look like when we talk about financial resources? which all of this plays a key role in the student experience that I spoke about when I introduced myself. All of these 10 standards play a key role in us supporting our students and preparing them for tomorrow and today's workforce. So it's critical that our institutions understand, number one, what the accreditation process is about and what we look for in the accreditation process. And it's important that they understand how this is articulated each and every day in the classroom, how this is articulated each and every day in the community, and how it's articulated each and every day on their campuses.
And there are two things that I would point out as well, Dr. Wright, that we've talked about in the office. We want to remind folks that these 10 standards actually have a linkage to the Department of Education's expectations of accrediting agencies. So sometimes people may forget that the Department of Education, they too have a handbook of accreditation that requires agencies just like COE and other accreditors to make sure we cover certain areas. Not only that, those standards are shaped and recommended by peers. So we have a standards and conditions committee. Those individuals are elected by the body, and they are the ones who partner with staff to adjust and mold and recommend ultimately to the full body for approval. So it's exciting that we get to share information on these 10 standards and really help people to understand what the standards mean. Not necessarily how to write for the standards in your self-study or how to do this or how to do that, but we want to help you understand the meaning of the standard and what it may look like, as Dr. Wright said, at your particular institution. It's not cookie cutter. Sometimes people will say, well, I wonder what this institution is doing and how did they do it? That's not going to help you. You really have to have a good understanding of your own institution, your own policies, processes, your own people. And from there, you can make an informed decision on how you'd like to present the evidence to demonstrate that you're in compliance with the standards. Well, fantastic. I'm moving on to the next question. This is great. COE has always looked for ways to enhance, our conferences and our events. And there is something unique to the Spring Accreditation Institute. It's called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Now, I don't know if you participated in the past, if you're watching, but showed up to the institute, to the conference. We got you into groups, counting off, and next thing you know, you were having dinner with a COE staff member or commissioner. You may have even been in my group, and we went out to different spots to eat, and we just had an opportunity to connect outside the conference and beyond the compliance world. Can you tell us a little bit about the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner for this year?
Absolutely excited to have this new opportunity this year at the Spring Accreditation Institute. So instead of doing Guess Who's Coming to Dinner like in previous years, we are doing a technical college campus tour, which is very exciting. Like I said earlier, we do have 9 member institutions located in Utah, and we have 2 very close to our host hotel. So we thought it would be a very great opportunity for attendees to get a closer look into institutions that are accredited by COE in the Utah area. It's another great networking opportunity as well, because following the tour, there will be a light reception. We are going to Mountain Land Technical College located in Lehi, Utah. And then we're also going to Ogden Weber Technical College, which is in Ogden, Utah. So along with just keeping that mindset of it expanding the experience of the conference, we want to do something new this year. And I think that touring the campus and being able to network with other institutions and see for themselves an institution that is also accredited by COE is a great opportunity for attendees.
I think that's a fantastic opportunity. As you mentioned, some of the members within COE, the Utah Technical College system, they do an outstanding job. And if you've never been to one of their campuses, it is indeed a special treat. So whether it's going to Mountain Land with Clay Christensen as the president there, or Ogden Weber with Jim Taggart. I know their staff will put on a wonderful tour. And then with the reception, it'll be a guess who's coming to dinner, because we're going to split the staff. You don't know who's going to show up. We're going to split the commissioners in attendance as well. So you don't know who's going to show up on your particular tour. Now, can anyone go, Toree? How does that work?
Yes, so when you sign up to register for the Spring Accreditation Institute, there's a ticket located on the registration website for the technical college tour. So if you want to attend, there is a ticket on the registration website. It's $10, transportation provided, get on the bus and go to the college campus tour.
Wow, that's excellent. $10 a tour, a reception. You can't beat it. So hopefully you take advantage, because again, there is a limit to how many people can go. So first come, first serve. Don't delay. So again, jumping back now to some of this critical work. This year, COE is offering several new and innovative sessions. Can you all talk about any of those innovative sessions, and how do these reflect COE's evolving priorities?
So COE, as you just said, continues to evolve. And if you all know our tagline, it is to be the standard for education that works. So how do we do that? So we continue to evolve. So one of the exciting sessions that will be on the agenda for this year is Reimagining CPL. We put together a task force back in December, and they have been doing really, really great work to stop and take a look to see really if completion, placement, and licensure are still working for our institutions. Is it the student achievement benchmarks that we want to take a look at? Do we want to change the percentages, or do we want to move in another direction? For example, do we want to look at retention, which is a great student benchmark, because we know that it's not only about getting the students into the institutions, but in order to get them to complete, you've got to retain them. Do we want to look at return on investment? Are we giving our students what they need? Are they able to get out and make a working wage to be able to support their families and their communities? So we're taking a deep dive into what was put together years ago to see if it truly works for our member institution and if it still works for today's society. Another session that will be really hot is going to be our affinity groups. At the annual meeting, we divide our affinity groups up by sector, but this time we are dividing them up by function. So we will have an affinity group or peer group that will be dedicated to our chief administrative officers, our academic officers, our business officers, and our financial aid officers. So we hear so much about networking. We hear so much about give us an opportunity to talk to each other, to see what's working on each other's campuses, or what are the issues that are going on on your campus, or what are the upcoming issues. So this will provide an opportunity for these groups to come together to talk about the things that are going on their campuses and maybe how they're dealing with them, and provide some best practices. So that is a second one. The other one that is a really hot one is invitation only. It is our scope change. So we just talked about the standard for education that works. So we've been hearing from several of our institutions that they would like for us to expand our accreditation scope. Currently, we are accredited up to the Associate of Applied Science, but we have been approached to say, will you at some point, COE, accredit up to the bachelor's degree, or will you at COE accredit up to the Associate of Applied Science? So our fearless leader and the vice presidents have put together a pilot group that is looking at possibly a scope change in the near future. So those are three new sessions, three innovative sessions that we think are going to just bring new light to where we're going and how we are evolving at the Council on Occupational Education.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I mean, whether you're talking about the CPL reimagining, and from what I remember, CPL has not been reviewed in quite some time at COE. So under this banner of continuous improvement, this is something that we're committed to and taking a look. In fact, I believe as president, that's part of the sort of secret sauce of COE, that we do have benchmarks at the 60, 70, 70 for the CPL measurements, and our institutions have that as a standard. So we understand that students not only come for an education, but more so they're leaving with a job if everything goes according to plan, or they're leaving with a promotion in some cases. So I'm excited to hear that that work is going on. Not only that, but certainly the scope change study group. Again, it's just a study group where we're taking a look, because whatever decisions are finally made, we want to make sure we're doing it to the very best of our ability, and it makes sense for the work ahead, especially when you're talking about workforce and the demands from the local community. If we are going to be responsive, we need to be able to look through, to think through, to talk through, to work through all of the associated processes. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And then, okay, to wrap up, I know this is a chock full of information on this podcast with a full agenda of instructional workshops, discussions, and opportunities. What advice would you give, whether the first timer or whether someone who's been coming year after year? What advice would you give them for this upcoming conference so that they can make the most out of their time?
Download the Event Combo app. That is my advice. It's very important. It is the hub for all Spring Accreditation Institute. Within the app, you'll be able to have your barcodes for your sessions, which is how you will get credit for your sessions. So prior to arriving to the conference, to make sure that you have a seamless experience, make sure you download the Event Combo app first. And then, of course, professional development is very important. We know what you guys are coming for. But of course, my wheelhouse is more of the experience side. So I do want to make sure that you guys are also taking advantage of the area, the restaurants, making sure that you are signing up for the Technical College campus tour, just experiencing all that the Spring Accreditation Institute has to offer.
Fantastic. Sounds like it's going to be a tremendous time. I know I'm already registered and ready to go. You'll have the fellows who will also be there. Some of you wanted to meet the fellows. The fellows will be at the Spring Accreditation Institute. You cannot miss this event. I hope you've already registered. Again, by the time this airs, registration may already be closed. We know the hotels are already filling up, but we're looking forward to seeing you in Utah later in April. This is the first edition of the President's Podcast. Again, I have with me Dr. Susan Wright and Toree Paden, QB1 and QB2 of our major events. They're excited about also seeing you and welcoming you to Utah. So thank you for tuning in. Share this information with someone else. Refer this link and help them to remain updated on information from the Council on Occupational Education.